Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. I've got 3 stories to share with you in this latest room temperature jam. I'll be starting with this one from the Crypto Basic titled, Pro XRP Attorney Thinks Cramer Owes Americans an Apology After Championing Silicon Valley Bank. And they're talking about none other than attorney John Deaton and, of course, Jim Cramer here, who is, wow, what a piece of work. It's like, so you know how there are a bunch of fake gurus just in social media in general, a bunch on YouTube, just pretending to be things that they're not, speaking out their rear sides as if they have some sort of special information or educational background, just being fake online. Well, the equivalent of that from legacy media would be Jim Cramer. He is, if he's a guru, my God, I want to be an anti-guru if that's the case, because I tell you, when it comes to famous people in the world of finance, Jim Cramer is arguably the very worst. There's a reason that there's an inverse Cramer fund that just invests in whatever he says. It just does the opposite, literally. He's a meme at this point. And I'm telling you, had he come up in this age of the internet, he wouldn't have made it. Like, can you imagine if he's nobody and he just starts talking today, maybe even starts a YouTube? Who's listening to this guy? Nobody. He's just a has-been from the legacy media. It says a bunch of stuff that's nonsense. And so anyway, I'll get into that. And then also there was this article from You Today titled XRP Used as Solution by Blockchain Financial Service to Convert Funds During USDC DPEG. And I thought that was interesting. And then last I'll cover this story from the Daily Huddle. 2 US SEC commissioners blast their own agency for rejecting VanEck Bitcoin Exchange Traded Fund application. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And if I may first say, before going further, and I may because this is my channel, damn it, and I do what I want, I'd like to highlight this article. I'm not going to read it, but just highlight it, especially for those of you who are unaware of this. This is from December 8th of 2022 from the Crypto Basic. Jim Cramer hits XRP again, calls XRP a giant con. For those of you that aren't in the know, or perhaps you missed it, Jim Cramer, on more than one occasion actually, called XRP a giant con. It's complete and utter nonsense. He knows nothing about it. It's so funny, like the things that are the most promising in life from a financial perspective, including XRP, he's against it. It's a con. No evidence for the con. He just asserts these things. And then the things that are on the brink of collapse, he's just like, yeah, go buy that stock. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for nothing, Jim Cramer. Really grinds my gears, folks. Really grinds my gears. So if he's going to apologize for anything, if he could actually start with that for calling XRP a giant con when it's just a decentralized, XRP is a native asset in a decentralized system, if he could just apologize for that first, that'd be a fun starting point. But anyway, into this piece now. Attorney John Deaton has suggested that CNBC Mad Money host Jim Cramer owes viewers an apology after urging them to invest in the failed Silicon Valley Bank. The crypto law founder, who represents thousands of XRP holders as a friend of the court in the United States Securities and Exchange Commission case against Ripple, expressed this view in response to a tweet from David Schwartz, Ripple's chief technology officer. Notably, Schwartz pointed out that less than a month ago, Cramer had advised viewers of his CNBC program to invest in the bank. And here you can see the tweets from David Schwartz. Jim Cramer was advising people to invest in a Silicon Valley bank just 1 month ago. It was quite possibly the worst possible investment. That's from David Schwartz, everybody. It was quite possibly the worst possible. Yes, it actually was, because it's now worth zero. It's now worth literally zero. And then attorney Deaton retweeted that and said, has Jim Cramer ever apologized after giving the worst possible advice possible? And folks, he deserves to be called out for this, because it's not like a bad call here and there. It's like, again, there's a reason there's an inverse Cramer fund. There's like these things don't just normally, it wouldn't happen. You don't have this with other, famous, well-known people in the world of finance tracking their calls. But you have it with Cramer because he is awful. And don't forget that in 2008, 3 days before Bear Stearns collapsed that bank, he's saying it's a buy. What, you think it's gonna collapse? He said, no, you're being silly. And then 3 days later, it collapsed, it goes to zero. And that was one of the largest bank collapses in history in the United States. And this one is this, as cited in this article right here, this is the second largest bank collapse in U.S. history. And just weeks ago, Jim Cramer's like, oh, it's a buy. It's got room to go. It's got legs, right? Completely ridiculous. On to the next piece. XRP used as solution by blockchain financial service to convert funds during USDC peg. And in case you hadn't heard, stablecoin USDC is currently depegged. I didn't check the price right before recording this video, but a little bit ago, some hours ago, I checked it. It was at like 95 cents. Yesterday, it got as low as, I think, 87 cents, which is the lowest it's been in history. And the reason that happened is because USDC, which is supposed to be completely backed by real money, well, some of that money, turns out, was in Silicon Valley Bank, which is completely collapsed, and the government has taken it over, and that caused a bunch of fears about the viability of stablecoin USDC. So anyway, that's all you need to know for that. I just want to quickly set that up. Anyway, piece reads as follows. In the wake of the USDC DPEG event, Austin, Texas-based blockchain financial service Reaper Financial, which focuses on acquiring and burning digital assets, has announced that it is converting the USDC in its permanent drip fund to XRP. Quote, due to a potential depegging event, the USDC in the permanent drip fund has been converted to XRP until stability returns. We will update as the situation evolves, end quote. And so that's what the Ripple lawsuit participant stated in a tweet. And indeed, this is a Ripple lawsuit participant. Reaper Financial actually filed an amicus brief in the SEC v. Ripple case, which I covered in full. And it was a truly interesting business model where the whole thing, and it's funny, the name makes sense once you understand it, Reaper Financial. The point is to basically reduce the supply of various coins so that, so obviously supply and demand dynamics take over. Fewer coins out there, obviously, more scarce it is, higher price could go. And so that's basically in a nutshell. I mean, there is a lot more to it than that, but without, that'd be too far outside the scope of this video. But I found it interesting when I was breaking the whole thing down in a video when they filed that amicus brief in late last year. It's just crazy. It just makes you wonder, too, like how many businesses out there are building stuff on top of the XRP ledger that we literally just don't know. Because before this, I didn't know anything about this. I also didn't know about TapJets. I did happen to know about Spin the Bits, but that was because of, I can't remember the first time I saw it. It was in my Twitter feed. Might have been because of Attorney John Deaton or Crypto Eddie. I can't remember. But without the suit, I'm not sure if even they would have known about it and others. So maybe it would have been the case, but the point is, the lawsuit actually made it clear that there's a lot more development going on top of the XRP ledger than any of us understood. And it makes me wonder how many others out there do we not know about and just remain silent, not wanting to file an amicus brief. Probably a bunch would be my guess, but who knows? And then there was also this from the Daily Huddle. 2 U.S. SEC commissioners blast their own agency for rejecting Van Eck Bitcoin Exchange Traded Fund application. 2 commissioners at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission are putting their own agency on blast after the regulator batted down another Bitcoin exchange-traded fund application. The SEC on Friday rejected a Bitcoin spot ETF application from Van Eck, a U.S.-based ETF and fund manager. Unlike Bitcoin futures ETF, which would be linked to derivative contracts tied to Bitcoin, a spot Bitcoin ETF would be directly backed by the benchmark cryptocurrency. SEC Commissioners Hester Peirce and Mark Uyeda, who released a statement accusing their own agency of holding Bitcoin spot ETF applications to a, quote, bespoke standard that may be impossible for any product to meet, end quote. Yeah, it's no joke right there. And that's why Grayscale, who also filed an application for a spot Bitcoin ETF, when they got rejected this past summer, that same day, they had a lawsuit ready and they filed it. They sued the SEC. And just within the last week, I think it might have been like March 7th if memory serves, it was very recently, the latest court happening occurred and the judge ripped the SEC to shreds. Just complete, and it was really delightful. I made a whole video on that, so I won't go into it here, but it was just delightful to see the judge just rip them to shreds because the argument is BS. And SEC Commissioners Hester Peirce and Mark Uyeda are absolutely correct here. And they said the following, quote, Nearly 6 years have passed since the Commission issued, via authority delegated to the Division of Trading and Markets, its first order disapproving an application by an exchange to list and trade an exchange traded product, ETP, designed to track the price of spot Bitcoin. Notwithstanding the significant evolution of the Bitcoin market, the Commission has continued to disapprove every such filing that has come before it. In our view, the Commission is using a different set of goalposts from those it used, and still uses, for other types of commodity-based ETPs to keep these spot Bitcoin ETPs off the exchanges we regulate, end quote. And that's certainly true. That's obviously true. And by the way, I'll mention this too. An ETP is an exchange-traded product. ETF, of course, exchange-traded fund. They're similar. And to be honest with you, right off the top of my head, I can't remember. There's some sort of nuance that makes them different. But they're in the same family of concepts. So it doesn't functionally matter for the purposes of this video. I wish I could retain literally everything I ever learned, but that's not how humans work, unfortunately. But setting that aside, the point is that the SEC is not acting in good faith here. And it is nice to see that at least 2 of the commissioners are pushing back against the nonsense that their cohorts are trying to cram down everybody's throat. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.